Hey everybody, it's Sam here with a quick announcement specifically for those people who are living in New York or Chicago. And those things are that if you are in New York, we are doing our StraightioLab live show this Friday, October 27th at the Bell House. We have special guests Catherine Cohen, Ike Ufomadu, and Richard Perez. It is going to be incredible. George and I have costumes confirmed. And then if you are in Chicago, I'm doing my solo show Club Comic on November 9th at the Color Club. Club Comic is club track stand-up videos. It's a comedy concert experience that, honey, it must be seen to be believed. Please get tickets to that. It would mean the world to me to see you there. Wow. I mean, talk about an efficient announcement. I am so damn fast. Okay, enjoy this episode. Get those tickets. They're available in our bio and, on those venues' websites. Okay, love you. Have fun. Bye. Okay, podcast starts now. What is up, everyone around the globe? You are once again hearing the voices of me, Sam, and the silence of my co-host, George. George, why are you silent?
Well, was I silent or was I silent?
So true, so relevant. So now.
Yeah, that's so true. This episode was actually recorded right after that interview came out. But
this recording is 3 years old.
Yeah, we wanted to wait until it was time for Halloween 2023 in order for it to be really relevant.
Yeah, which we did. We succeeded.
Do you know what's really difficult? And I'll say this, it's a risk because then it opens up a can of worms. But we were talking about this yesterday. It's difficult to know. The things we want to talk about right now are literally not in the purview, in the realm of things that that it is our job to talk about.
You mean that we want to talk about?
I mean, all kinds of things. I think we want to talk about personal sex things, which we don't do on the pod.
Of course.
And then on the broader picture, we want to talk about big picture current events, which we also absolutely do not do on the pod. And so I'm having this true, the reason I was silenced is because I'm like, so what else is there?
No.
Where do I find, what is the midway point where I'm not saying anything super personal and I'm not saying anything that's relevant to global affairs?
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I have noticed something. I think, okay, I was talking to Misha about this. Do you remember that scene in A Star is Born when she's recording finally in the fancy studio and it's not working and she's like, it's not working. I lost it. I lost whatever magic I had. And Bradley Cooper is like, what if you bring a piano in here?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's too much. I don't want to they'll have to hire movers. They'll have to, take out that beam in order to fit the piano in the first place. And he was like, it doesn't matter. It's your art. And then she brings the piano in and then she thrives. So the magic is back.
Okay.
And I think you are afraid of inconveniencing people for your art of gay podcasting. I think you
What is our equivalent of the piano?
Personal, discussing personal things and not feeling self-conscious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, but do you think...
So my example, of course, was yesterday when we were both hungover.
Exactly.
I didn't want to. There was a part of me that wanted to make myself smaller and not talk about the fact that I was hungover because it would have seemed unprofessional in a professional setting.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that we are inherently, at our core, unprofessional people. We are bad at our jobs, and that is what we do best.
Yeah. Okay, here's what I'll say about the two of us, though. Oh, we joke about being bad at our jobs. We're so unprofessional. We're leaving money on the table. When someone else around us is bad at their jobs, we act as though we are being personally targeted by the United States military via sniper attack. The way
Another Bradley Cooper reference.
Yes, we have no empathy for anyone else being incompetent, and yet the entire joke is that we can't. Oh, I'm waking up. I'm already late for my 11 o'clock meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying When I say bad at our jobs, what I mean is what we perceive as a professional person.
Right.
I unfortunately think we are good at our
being
jobs.
podcasters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
This is where it gets complex.
We're good at being we're good at being bad podcasters.
Yes.
Which is bad for us in the long run.
Yes, but good for this medium.
Yeah, exactly. And thank God podcasting is forever, and this will all never change. You know what I have always said about digital media? It never changes, and it's the same year after year. And so the fact that right now the audio space is thriving means that it always is going to be.
That's true. People look back on this moment and be like, wow, that moment is so similar to this moment because nothing has changed.
That is so true. If there's one thing I've learned from working at Quibi and the Gawker reboot, it's that, let me tell you something, all companies succeed.
And you don't need to be profitable.
No. Well, that is true.
That actually is.
We actually live in a
true.
warped world where being profitable is hack.
Profit is passé.
Profit is so passé, where it's like you go into a boardroom, which I've been to many. You go into a boardroom in Silicon Valley, you say we're profitable, they laugh in your face. Mark Zuckerberg literally slaps you across the face, and he's strong now.
He's really strong. It hurts. I mean, if you're profitable, it's like, okay, so you don't have a dream.
Well, it's also like, oh, you're living the dream of the 90s, you're in Portlandia because you're profitable? What do you think you are, Nike in the 90s? That is not what we're doing anymore. We
Show
are being
some
Uber.
imagination. Yeah.
We are exploiting our workers for the sake of not even making a profit or producing a product that anyone likes.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we're actually succeeding big time in this global economy.
There's something true about this that is so dark that I actually think people do frown on. Like, what isn't, it's very like $1 million isn't cool, it's cool $1 billion, but instead it's like making money isn't cool. What's cool is branding your company as if it makes money when it doesn't really matter. Like, it's like spinning nonprofit to be profit, like in like just being like, we make 72 cents per every 50 cents.
Well, you have to drown everyone with numbers so that they don't actually have time to figure out what they mean. 100%. You literally will be like 5 billion impressions and someone's like, of what? And you're like, and 6 billion uniques.
And there's only 2 million people in the world.
And there are only 2 million people in the world, and half of them are podcasting. And the other half are listening. So that's why LGBTQ plus is now
more than ever. And it won't be stopped.
You know what bothers me about now more than ever? Talk about something that actually doesn't have lasting power. You don't want your thing to be more relevant now than ever. You want it to be relevant forever. People should stop. That should be removed from marketing.
Now more than ever.
Like, why would that be a positive?
You're right. Where's the growth?
Where's the growth? And also, so this thing that you're doing literally is at its peak now. Now more than ever, today is the only day.
So you're literally telling me to divest from your product.
Literally. Like, what if I'm not getting any returns from this?
So I should get out because this is the peak. I should sell.
This is the equivalent of currently me purchasing a hot coffee. That coffee is going to be cold in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I actually want a new one. I'm actually getting rid of this coffee. It's not good anymore.
It is so crazy that neither of us went to business school.
I always I have to, toot our own horns. Mm-hmm. I really feel that my favorite thing of this podcast is when you're like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? And then you go on to tear down all corporations ever.
Well, it's only so I can build my own and make it better. Build back better.
Build back better. Life finds a way.
But actually, I think that my idea about now more than ever is kind of big.
Oh,
I think people are going to listen to this and they're going to stop saying now more than ever. I mean, it's literally an admission of defeat. It's literally saying we are passé.
I mean, talk about like there's no more potential energy. It's all been spent.
Yeah.
It's like this is the best I will be. How sad. I would never say now more than ever about myself.
Everyone is pathetic. Literally, when was the last time you were inspired by one person?
You know the answer that I have that is sad.
What?
Because I talked about it on this.
Who?
With the Troye Sivan Rush video.
You are so stupid.
When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm inspired again.
Yeah.
I finally felt not now more than ever. I felt like actually there's more to this world than what I've seen so far.
Yeah. Did you read the article I sent you?
See, I did mean to.
No, it's totally fine.
But the problem is when there's an article, listen up, Tim Cook.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, rest in peace. But listen up, Tim Cook. How do I keep articles in like a queue? Because I have articles I'm wanting to read, and I'll be like, okay, but right now I'm using the bathroom, so I can't read this.
Totally.
And it's not number 2, sweetheart. It's number 1. So I'm going to be in and out pretty quick.
Okay. And by the way, people are going to get in touch with solutions. We don't want them.
I actually could be interested if they're actual solutions.
All right.
But I have currently, I do this thing now where I screenshot an article when I want to read it.
Me too, and I never go back.
Never go
What am I
back.
going to do? Scroll through all my other iconic screenshots just to find an article in the New York Times?
Scroll through my countless nudes to get to my Vulture article.
And dick pics from every single man in South Brooklyn?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck
Please.
finding it.
Good luck finding it amidst all the penises. Okay, wait, we have to bring our guest in, but all I want to say, you don't have to have read it to be able to sort of
you did
bring it
want to
into the
address
space.
it. Yeah.
Basically, it's making the argument that there's no more innovation, that pretty much there's no more innovation in any art anymore. And he actually locates Amy Winehouse's Back to Black as the turning point, where she was
The end?
It's positive towards Amy Winehouse. You don't have to be mad.
I wasn't sure how to feel.
It's like she's the only, basically like she started a new, now the only thing you can do basically is like make things out of the detritus that exists in culture. There's no like new thing. And she actually was someone who took that and made something that did feel new rather than feeling like pastiche, rather than feeling like, sort of like useless nostalgia.
Sure. Well, I don't believe it for a second.
So it, connects to like, when was the last time you were actually inspired by someone? Where I'm like, when was the last time someone did something new?
I already said my
Troye
answer.
Sivan.
Yeah, do you not have one?
Huh.
'Cause I feel like articles like that are kind of bullshit. People love to say that. They love to be like, yeah, nothing's been good for 100 years.
No, I
And
know.
It's like, okay.
Well, but that's the thing, which I thought was interesting. He's not saying nothing has been good. He's saying nothing has been new. But he's like, I like a lot of really great art is being made, but no forms have been like reinvented.
We have to bring in our guest.
But and
first,
actually, we need him to only talk about this for the entire episode.
I'm
About an
ready.
article he hasn't read.
I'm ready.
also, wait,
Yes.
before we do, George, I have to say one thing, a technical element.
Oh no.
When you tap the table,
Oh.
I feel like it makes little noises.
Okay, I'll stop.
And
I'll stop being passionate, I guess.
yeah, I don't want to silence you.
I just want to say, as a Greek American, that's sort of how I express myself. I grew up in a family that was very loud, and we loved food and family. And
you can be as loud as you want, just don't tap the table. And I only know because someone sent us a mean message that was like, someone keeps tapping the mic and it's pissing me off.
Wow.
And I was like, first of all, he's not tapping the mic, he's tapping the table. Second
Okay,
of all,
cool. All right, well, on that note, I guess we have to bring in our guest. We are actually so excited to have him on. Talk about someone who I feel like people come out of the woodwork. When I was like, we're going to have Danny Pellegrino on, people come out of the woodwork. You don't know what people around you are listening to. Guess what? They're all listening to Danny Pellegrino. Danny, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
We should say right off the top, we're going to mention your book approximately 17 times because we're so good at our jobs in promoting other people's work. But I want you to open by saying what it is and what is it called and when it's out.
Yeah, we'll get this out of the way quick. The new book is called The Jolliest Bunch. It's a collection of holiday stories. I know we're recording this in October, but there is a Halloween chapter. There's some Thanksgiving stories, a lot of Christmas stories, but it's like Christmas vacation in a book. It's a collection of essays, and I'm going to beg people right now to buy it. Please buy it. We need people to pick it up. Pre-order it if it's come see me. I'm going to be on tour, and you can get a book going to see me on tour, or just get the book, please. I beg you.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
also, by the way, I was taking notes while the two of you were talking, and I sort of hate that I have to come on now because I was just enjoying the podcast. But before we even got on here, I was listening to your episode with Vanessa Bayer, and I was just relating and laughing so hard about the idea of like when you meet people and when you've met someone a million times and they say nice to meet you, almost as like a dig. Sometimes I've found that people do that, or I don't know. There's just so much nuance when you're talking to people like that. So I just loved it. And then I have other notes. Should I get in my other notes?
Actually, I would love to hear your notes.
Yeah. We're really open to critique, by the way.
So I do want us to go back to that sex story you were talking about. Sex. I would like us to revisit that at some point. Maybe if you wouldn't mind. I know you might not want to open up about it, but I'm going to need you to.
See,
also,
Danny's right.
You mentioned The Star is Born, and I've been waiting for an outlet to just say that I prefer I'll Never Love Again over Shallow, which is a bold take. And I just feel like I needed a public platform.
Okay.
Wow.
A public platform.
At this point, I agree because I've heard Shallow so many. I mean,
that howl, though, will never not be like the most iconic thing.
Yeah, they should copy and paste that into the other song.
Yes, 100%.
And look, I love that song. It's a perfect, flawless song. Something about the I'll Never Love Again feels like a classic 90s ballad to me. So I think that's why I prefer it.
Sure.
You mentioned Troye Sivan, his Rush. I just want to see if anyone saw him on Watch What Happens Live with Reba McEntire because it's important viewing.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch either, but I'm like, sometimes with those, with Watch What Happens Live, I'm like, the fact that they're together is enough for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I got exactly what I needed from a screenshot of him with Reba McEntire and him in, I think, like, head to toe Balenciaga.
I fully agree. Even seeing him just like in the promotional materials where it's their headshots next to each other, I was like, okay, that was a fun TV show.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're gonna get, really.
Yeah, totally. It was almost like I don't want to watch it necessarily because my imagination is running wild, and it's perfect in there.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, one time, many, many years ago, I unsuccessfully submitted to be a writer on Watch What Happens Live, and the challenge, the like thing we had to write was like opening lines for Andy for if the guests were Mindy Kaling and Shannon Beater, and I was like, this is my dream. Like, just to write basically puns. It's like they give you two celebrities, and you're like, one of them, fell down a hole, and one of them showed her hole. Like, it's like it's just that, like, over and over and over again. You do like 18 of those,
and I'm certain that has been one of them. I like that exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Did you watch it, the Reba and Troy?
Okay, so even though I did just encourage all of your listeners to watch it, all I did see were clips. So I didn't actually watch. But to me, that I felt similarly of like that was enough.
Huge. Yeah,
Totally.
That's nice.
Yeah. I did have two more notes. Should I?
Yes,
please.
Are we exhausted by these? I'm sorry.
No.
I'm close.
I'm all in.
The other thing is with the articles, I always text myself the links and then I go back. So I have a thread that's me to me. And I don't think it's the most ideal solution, but it's just the one that I have gone with now. And then finally, my last thing is just I was recently inspired by Puss in Boots 2.
Wow.
I felt like,
so for you,
I felt like that was the first time where my brain was been open to a new creative thing. And I know some of the animation was take off the Spider-Verse movies, which are great, but I really was blown away by the second Puss in Boots.
You are not the first person to tell me that. My brother is obsessed with that movie in like a wild way.
I really love the idea of being like countering the argument that there's no innovation in art by being like, well, have you seen Puss in Boots 2, the sequel of a spinoff of Shrek?
I would even argue that the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which lifts some of that style, I would even argue, to me, that was an innovation and left me wildly emotional as well as creatively
I have
inspired.
heard that.
I have heard that as well.
It sort of actually seems like, and I haven't seen any of these movies, but it seems like maybe animation is an area where there is innovation more so than other.
Sure, it's
forms.
like animation and horror. That's where you can be innovative.
I mean, where else? Like, truly a new form that was created in this century was just memes. I'm not saying I think they're like high art, but it is true that didn't exist.
This is what I want to complain about. This is the other side of the argument of like there's been no good art in the last whatever. It's like then the other side, which is also bad, is being like, actually TikToks belong in the MoMA.
I completely agree.
Actually memes are the new form of communication and we're creating a new language.
Yeah. This TikTok is Kubrick. The teens are all right, and it's like they're not.
Wait, can I ask you both? Is there a TikTok, like if somebody were to ask, if I'm asking you right now, what's a TikTok that sticks out in your mind? Have you seen one that still has stuck with you that maybe you saw a long time ago? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there was this girl who was making some that were like kind of surreal that I liked, where it was like her like drinking a coffee and then it would like spill out of her mouth and then it would like cut to something else. And I was sort of like, this is fun. This is a fun use of this. And I especially like, if I was a teen, this would be like what I would be trying to do,
Totally.
Like I'd be like in my weird house being like, okay, what can we do with this phone? Of course, do I think she's the next Kubrick? I don't know. Time will tell.
It is true that you're like, yeah, I wasn't doing that when I was a teen. I was literally like watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I'm sorry, I was too busy placing at the regionals for the cross country meet in Michigan to be
these kids haven't been outside in years.
Yeah, try going for a run, sweetheart.
Yeah, try going outside. Because guess what? The pandemic is a hoax.
Try getting the coaches award for your cross country team because you're such a good community builder. How about that?
No, but it is true. There's actually no way to pick a side in the debate of whether or not TikTok is like the end of culture or if it's like actually art.
Yeah,
because you can always. But I am sort of like But what if we deleted it?
I mean, I'm a big fan of deleting.
I think it should be deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always when I can force myself to be really black and white about something, like I can just convince myself even for a second. I'm like, oh well, it's censoring political content because it's has to abide by the Chinese government rules. That's not necessarily true, but I'm like, oh great, so now I can just morally feel like I'm saying the right thing, and I also don't have to get TikTok.
And I think at this point in time in 2023, all of the social media platforms have really given us really great reasons to leave them, and yet I think a lot of us are still on them. And so even with all of the very, very clear cut reasons of why these are bad for us or why we shouldn't be on them, we're all still doing a lot of them.
That's unfortunately the saddest part. Is it like that's sort of what's the weirdest to me about TikTok, because the other ones, it was like, well, we were addicted to them before we knew that they were bad, and it's like, well, now we know, like, there is proof that this is bad, and then we're like, but what if I get it? Like,
I know.
And it's like, but I need to go viral. Like, I need attention from this other way.
Yeah.
And just when I think my feed is, I hate it and I'm ready to delete it, then like they'll throw something at me that I will be blown away by creatively, even though it's probably in any other realm I might not be blown away by it. But when it comes on my feed in between somebody making pumpkin bread and housewives gifts, then I'm enthralled by it. There was recently this guy who he was taking like QVC clips and like kind of bloopers, QVC or HSN bloopers. And you know how usually those bloopers, there's somebody on a phone call, like somebody calling in to the segment. And so he was dressing up as the person calling in. And so we were seeing the person calling in's reaction as the host on QVC fell off a ladder or whatever it was.
I mean, I'm already laughing.
Yeah, I love this. Is good.
Like, I swear to God, I watched this guy and I was blown. And he wasn't an entertainer. I think he's just, he had messaged me and said like, oh, thank you for sharing or something, because he's like, I'm not a comedian or anything. And I was like, you are though, and you're creating the most beautiful content I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I did love when there was one person that did like, it was like a parody of a fashion show, so he kept wearing like the most insane, it would be like a giant piece of wood, like he would just like take things in his apartment and then do like a runway walk with them. I was like, that's genius.
Yeah.
So my standards are very low. I mean,
mine too.
Maybe what feels so mind-numbing about all of it is like how everything is a reference to something. Like everything is sampling basically.
Well, and what bothers me about it, which is just that it's a video editor's world out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm sort of like, whatever happened to just performance?
Yeah, or writing even.
And don't you feel with podcasting too, there's so much pressure now to be putting these videos on social media, and I don't
not get us started.
Yeah, I know you, but I'm just like you guys, where it's like it's too much. It's all too much, and and then you hear people yell at you. They'll say, you got to be posting these on TikTok or something. It's like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way that you say something literally in conversation, just like the first thing you thought of, and then you listen back to it and you're like, oh, that's like sort of funny. I guess we'll have to put it on 5 platforms with a caption that's like, this is my official belief.
And sucks all of the joy out of that one little moment. Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Wow. That is so funny.
Should we do our first segment?
I think we should. Danny, our first segment is called Straight Shooters, and in this segment, we ask you a series of rapid-fire questions to gauge your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture. It's basically this thing or this other thing, and the only rule is you can't ask a single follow-up question, or we will scream at the top of our lungs. It'll be louder than the howl in Shallow.
Wow. We should actually do the howl from Shallow when someone asks a question. Talk about topical. We really did record this episode 3 years ago.
Relevant now more than ever.
And so wait, my answer.
No.
Okay.
That sounds like a question.
A question coming.
I'm gonna shut my fucking mouth.
Okay, George, kick us off.
Okay, Danny. Strutting your stuff or shouting enough?
I'm afraid to answer.
Yeah,
that's sort of
you should check in with
part
that.
of the game.
And I'm saying this is straight.
Oh, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
I love and hate you both. Yes, we'll say yes.
So what?
Okay, we did get you. We got you.
Okay, we
good.
got you. We got
Okay.
you good. You got to choose one or the other.
Yeah. Enough.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Danny, piece of cake or slice of life?
Ooh.
Slice of life.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. I'll have the ahi tuna steak, or Isaac Mizrahi sure can bake.
I'll have the ahi tuna steak.
Okay, friendly fire or enemy sexual desire?
Enemy sexual desire.
Stairway to heaven or air train to Terminal B?
Stairway to heaven. Stairway to heaven.
Okay, finding Nemo or losing your libido?
Losing your libido.
Abstract expressionism or concrete jungle?
Concrete jungle.
That's good.
Concrete jungle.
Okay, being direct with your feelings or being distant and weird and hoping people see it?
Distant and weird.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
These were very high concept.
These were high concept. We're going into a new era.
Yeah, we
Tell
actually-
that to the writer of No New Innovation.
Yeah, I really feel
The
like
writer.
I feel like I'm in the midst of this new innovation.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we will be honest and say those were some of the hardest ones we've ever done.
Yeah, I think, and we rate our guests on a scale of 1 to 1,000 doves.
Well, 0 to 1,000 does actually.
Oh, that's a good point. We could give you a 0.
No, we're not giving you a 0.
Where do I
actually
fall?
think that was. I think that was a good performance.
I thought it was a really good performance.
I would say it's around the 800s.
I thought 872.
Yeah, I think it's 800.
It felt rocky at the beginning, and I'm sorry about that. My apologies.
Do not have to
No.
apologize.
That was, vulnerability lets people in.
That's true.
And I think your fans will see that and be like, he's human.
Yeah.
And I did like that. You were sort of like. You were playing along. You want to sort of like yes and us, and then there was a split second where you were. It was clear that you were like these fucking idiots.
Yeah, I actually
And I
like
love that. And
there
I
was
really do.
There was a moment of retaliation.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay,
like,
so you
is he gonna
sensed-
literally
okay.
log off?
Oh, interesting. Like I was going to shut the laptop screen and just say
In the beginning,
fuck
yeah,
them.
because
No.
it's like we've put you through so much already, and now we're just gonna like yell random words at you.
No, but I liked it, and also I like when people are a little confrontational. And this is a topic for my therapist, but I tend to be attracted to men who can be a little tough on me, and so I
And
think
we can sense that the sexual sexual tension is
I was just
palpable.
going to say I don't know if you picked up on that part of it because that was what I actually think I was feeling when you thought I was saying fuck these guys.
Yeah.
I think I was actually saying like, oh, fuck these guys. Like it was
Totally.
a different.
Well, it was interesting. It was interesting when you leaned in and started kissing the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
took
a
off
moment
the
where I was
pants-
like,
I took off the
something's
pants
up.
immediately.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
took off your pants. That was sort of interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting way to perform
Yeah.
that. That has never happened before.
Okay, I'm like, should we get into our topic?
I think we should actually.
Okay, Danny, we would love to know what straight topic you have brought for us today, and maybe a little bit about what you think is straight about it.
Yeah, so we're coming up on the Halloween season, or we're in the midst of the Halloween season, and I just find that straight people love to dress up as Harley Quinn and Joker, and it's been happening for. It wasn't just. There's a misconception that it's been happening just since that movie that came out with Jared Leto and Margot Robbie, but it's been happening forever, and
Yeah.
people every time think that it's unique, and it's fine if you just want to wear a costume that everybody is wearing all the time, but there is something that I find to be almost like straight ownership over that specific couple's costume.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weirdly no gay person has ever gone as the Joker.
I'm actually really racking my brain to think of a gay person that has gone as the Joker.
Yeah.
And I can't, the way that it is straight makes it almost like I haven't thought of it as the straight costume. And now I'm like, oh, it so is, to the point where it would be really, really funny to go as that.
Yeah.
Well, because there's other things that are sort of straight. It's like, okay, like, the Scream, like just things that are sort of cliche. Like even Where's Waldo is, all those things are a little straight. But like I've certainly seen gay people go as Where's Waldo. I think people love the Scream movies, but literally the Joker is only straight.
To me, the most universal costume would be Mario and Luigi in terms of gay straight, because I find that two gay men often will dress up as Mario and Luigi, but then I also have seen like two straight frat guys or whoever dress up as Mario and Luigi. So
I've also seen straight couples where straight couples where the woman is the Luigi and the man is Mario.
Yeah. Wow.
You'll see anything these days.
Yeah, but Harley Quinn and Joker, I don't think you will ever see gay people dressed as either of those. Yeah. Even Harley Quinn, who I think gay people might like the character, but I just don't know that I've seen a gay person dressed as Harley Quinn, because even I think gay people recognize, oh, that's a straight costume.
Exactly. That's not for me.
Yeah, I have seen one queer woman dressed as Harley Quinn.
Really?
But she was doing it as a joke. So that's where it gets complicated.
Okay. It was Paula Poundstone.
It was Anna Fabrega.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually extremely funny because Angelo did her makeup and like made it really, really professional looking. And it was sort of like, what is going on? But
I love that she kind of leaned into that. Like, that's brilliant.
She really leaned in.
I feel like literally Marjorie Taylor Greene has dressed as Harley Quinn in the past. Like, it is a fully conservative costume. It is alt-right.
Well, I mean, so the Joker's place in culture is very complicated.
Yeah.
Because there is just, between the two of them, there is sort of a Republican bend to it. But you can also take it to another, it's almost any political affiliation you want can be Jokerfied.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm raising my hand because I also have to say we're entering this weird era too with Lady Gaga doing Joker Part 2 that is going to blur all of these fucking lines.
Wow.
You are so right. I actually don't know where that would leave us. That might be honestly like.
Will it heal us? Will it heal us or divide us?
I think it will divide us so bad. I think it'll make Lady Gaga less for the gays.
I mean, I'm sorry, but when you look at Lady Gaga's recent choices, to go from literally being nominated for an Oscar for doing a literally like jingoistic military song. Sorry, but it's true.
You mean Hold My Hand?
Hold My Hand.
Yeah.
What's that movie called?
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
I Love the Army.
Yeah.
She to be doing like American flag army propaganda for what is it called again?
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
The biggest movie of like the last 5 years, and you're like,
for Top Gun, to go from that to playing basically Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm like, where is? Maybe it's because she's so traumatized by Chromatica coming out during the pandemic that she took a hard right turn.
She keeps getting traumatized. Of course, we're trying to talk about the Joker and Harley Quinn, and we just end up talking exclusively about Gaga's career choices. But
it's important.
She keeps getting traumatized and being like, I'm never doing dance music again. And then finally she comes back to it and gets traumatized again.
Well, and by the way, just to add one more thing. So there's Top Gun, there's Joker, and then the other thing she's doing with her career is basically doing like an MLM with her makeup line that no one's buying, which is also very conservative coded.
Wait, has that moved into MLM territory? Like, what?
I mean, spiritually.
Spiritually.
Yeah, like you're sort of like, do you know anyone who's purchased? I mean, because I know people that that purchase Rihanna's makeup. I know people that wear Kylie Jenner's makeup. Who's purchasing Lady Gaga's makeup?
I have no idea.
Literally, no. It's an MLM.
You know,
she's doing an MLM. Yeah.
But is there a possibility that maybe she is using the Joker 2 to relaunch the makeup because it's going to be heavy makeup, and maybe it makes sense then, and people, maybe it's not selling, and maybe she's thinking, oh, this would be good for the makeup.
You are a genius. That is the most obvious point. It never even occurred to me.
She's always 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, she's playing chess while we're all playing checkers.
Totally.
100%. But also, like, talk about conservative. So basically, she's anti-art. She's literally doing a movie as a means to make SpawnCon for her makeup
Is
line.
the Joker 2, is it a musical? Are people saying it's a musical?
It's a musical.
That doesn't make any sense to me either, though.
No.
And I didn't see the first one. but it was. I don't think the first one was a musical.
It wasn't. There were not songs in it.
Okay,
but there was dancing.
So this
I guess you could call it
confusing to me. The whole thing.
It's confusing. Okay, to return to Halloween costumes, I think your point about it being so long that we've seen Joker costumes is one of the more apt points.
Many, by the way. You are firing on all cylinders.
No, of course. Yeah. I just remember being literally in college and seeing the Joker everywhere and being like, okay, well, this is college. Yeah. Obviously, now more than ever, this is going to slowly fall down.
Sure.
And the way that we cannot move away from the Joker.
Can't escape it.
We can't escape it. Even the two of us can't escape it. Every time we're in here, we're talking about how things are the Joker now.
Yeah. I mean, it is a really great metaphor. It's a rich cultural figure for a reason.
Who's more important, Jesus Christ or the Joker?
I mean, two sides of the same coin, one could say.
What's the difference?
Because one is the Joker in a kind-hearted, one is kindness punk and one is Joker, the two sides of the coin of Chromatica.
It's crazy to me how somehow the Joker has even eclipsed Batman
Yeah.
I think most gay people would agree that Catwoman was a better character, but for some reason, Joker seems to live on.
I know.
Well, there's a loneliness epidemic, and
that
especially in men.
That's literally true.
And I actually think that is real.
Well, Joker is like, what if we made incels fun and like colorful?
And there is something about people probably with the makeup. It's like an easy costume to sort of do the makeup, or it's like a very recognizable costume. So I think sometimes gay people in particular, they will put on a costume that will be very obscure. It's like Flo from Progressive or something, like they're doing some weird obscure reference. I had a friend who dressed up as the Snapple lady once. Do you remember her?
Wow, I love that.
Wow, classic.
And of course, at the party, she had to keep saying, I'm the Snapple lady, but I don't think straight people, at least the ones I've experienced, want to be going around the party and explaining their costume. Whereas if they're Joker and Harley Quinn, it's like, oh, they did come in a costume and I know what it is. And so it's that pressure's off them. Whereas gay people kind of want to be like, oh, I'm the Snapple lady.
Totally. And you're actually pointing to something very smart, which is gay people love the sort of leaning into specificity. And in fact, the Joker is a pretty accessible costume, because if you just do smeared makeup and any combination of like green, purple, ill-fitting suit, people will sort of get what you're going for.
Wet hair.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a Halloween party and you were, forgive my language, sucking dick in the bathroom, and you come out and your lipstick's all smeared, it's very easy to say. The Joker? Easy to say, oh, I'm the Joker. Right.
I actually find I find it cheating sometimes when gay people go really specific and are like, "Oh, I'm the extra from this film," like who made the weird face at minute 33. I'm like you're disqualified. I actually think there should be referees at Halloween that go around and disqualify people.
So, what is your ideal level of specificity for Halloween costume?
You have to we need to be able to take a poll of the room, and 75% of people need to know who you are.
Oh. That's a good number.
That's actually a good point. That's a good point. And also, by the way, should not be only readable when it's a photograph on Instagram. A background doesn't count.
We need to. They should get banned from Instagram. The way that people will be like holding a book and being like, "I'm book lady," and it's like, and I'm like, no, you're not. Yes. You're not book lady at all.
Celebrities have been doing that more and more the past few years, where they're taking these photos, and I'm like, are you even going to a party dressed like that, or did you just do a photo shoot?
So you just did a photo shoot.
Yeah, you just did a photo shoot in front of your wall, and then you're posting it side by side with the picture. I'm like, is this really even meant to be a costume at a costume party? We're going to also be entering really dangerous territory this year, because I'm fearing that the straights are really going to lean hard into Ken from Barbie. I just feel it. And I feel it.
I mean, you're totally right.
And let's talk about that.
But that's like, maybe I'm a little bit jealous of that sincerity sometimes, where it's like, you can watch the biggest movie of the year. You can see that clearly this is a couple's costume waiting to happen. And you can know in your heart that there will be 400 other people in your town of 500 people going as that. And then you are like, but I'm going to do it too. And I'm not being critical of that. Like, that
I know what you mean.
It's nice.
There's a sincerity, there's a wholesomeness there where you're like, well, I don't need to be like the most unique. I just want to have fun tonight.
This is actually, I think about this a lot in terms of weddings. I feel like there's two kinds of straight couples, which is like with weddings, where one kind is like quirky alt, like this is our chance to be as original as possible. We're picking readings that are from like, there's one funny one and it's from, it's from like Junie B. Jones, and it's like a funny one, and then there's also one really deep one from like some Soviet poet, and then and I'm gonna wear a wedding dress that's actually purple, and he's gonna wear like shoes that don't match, and blah blah blah. And then the other kind is just the people that are like, it is my turn to do what everyone else has been doing. And that's actually, and it's like, I don't want it to be original. I want it to be as close to Google image wedding as possible, but it's my face on top of the wedding dress.
It kind of reminds me of
I do feel like with Halloween, that's sort of the difference. It's like the people that dress as Joker and Harley, Barbie and Ken, they're just like, it doesn't lessen the impact for them that everyone else is doing it. They're just like, but we're also doing it.
There's a selflessness to it.
Right.
Yeah, it's collectivism.
Did you see the Beckham documentary? I had forgotten when David and Victoria got married that they were in those purple suits, and their son was also in a matching purple suit. And I don't know, it made me think of it when you were saying that, because to me that fell somewhere in the middle, at least, where it was like, were doing the traditional wedding, and of course it was publicized and all that stuff. But then at least they put on ridiculous purple suits, which were, to bring us back around, likely somewhat inspired by the Joker.
Inspired by the Joker and Harley Quinn. It's so crazy that the Beckhams dressed as the Joker and Harley Quinn for their wedding.
They were ahead of the curve.
I'm almost like, okay, if two people actually dress as the Joker and Harley Quinn for their wedding, I might have to just tip my hat to that. Like,
I would have to stand.
There's something where you're like, all right, well, you actually went for it.
I actually love like a wild wedding. Like when people will post pictures of like, this is the tackiest wedding ever, and they're like all in camo or something, and I'm like, that is a slay to me.
It's tough. Well, weddings are tough because, in fact, I almost think we need to abandon the idea of a non-tacky wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitionally it's tacky.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I used to do this show called Tony and Tina's Wedding when I lived in Chicago, and the whole thing is a tacky Italian wedding, and it's dinner theater. So we were literally like putting on a fake wedding every night, and it was that tacky wedding where every night you would hear shouts at a certain time, and obviously it was sort of semi-scripted, so there were all these beats you hit, but it really made me step back and see all of those beats of a wedding. And they're exhausting and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I have a question. What's everyone's Halloween costume that they're most proud of?
Oh, I actually have some good ones. Okay, so I can go first.
Yeah.
Two come to mind. Both of them were couples costumes with my ex-boyfriend. And
shout out.
One of them this is a very Instagrammy one, so you're not going to like this one.
I'm going to be furious.
It was a specific photograph of Tegan and Sarah, and we were Tegan and Sarah.
I'm walking out.
And I do think a gay male couple being Tegan and Sarah is funny. To this day, I think
sure. No, that holds up.
Funny.
That's funny.
So that's one. And it was like the photo side by side. It was like a very clear reference. And then the other one was the year that Tinashe's 2 On came out, we went as 2 giant on switches. So we were 2 on. And she regrammed us.
Huge.
Wow. It's pretty big. So those are my 2.
I forgot that's how you got your big break.
So that's how I got my big break.
So she posted to her 20,000 followers?
I mean, listen, this was 10 years ago, so it was even fewer than 20,000.
I do love Tinashe. I was just joking.
I mean,
of course. I was proud of my I had a trilogy of costumes.
Wow.
That were all, because it was inspired by one year I was like, I'm going to be Ariana Grande, and didn't realize, this was a while ago now. And I kind of thought I would just put on a wig and a black dress and sort of be like, I'm Ariana. I thought I would just transform like magically. And then I put on the dress and I was like, okay, I look so beefy. I've never looked more like a football player in my entire life. And the hair is making me I looked like a Mortal Kombat character. I did not look anything, like there was no drag illusion. It was very like, you look scary. And then but then I had so much fun with sort of being this like monster that then the next 2 years I was like, I'm going to be a really bad pop star. So then I was Joanne era Gaga the next year.
I do remember that.
And then I was Swish Swish Katy Perry the next year.
Oh my God. The only one.
Yeah. Wait, I want to add one more, which is one year we were, and this is so cliche at this point, so I wouldn't say looking back I'm proud of it, but we were from Portlandia, the Women and Women First bookstore owners, which at the time felt semi-fresh, but I understand that it's not anymore. So I apologize publicly.
So that was sort of a now more than ever moment.
That was a now more than ever moment. And at the time, this is how dated it was. Our friend, get ready, was Pizza Rat. And we have a photo where our friend Allison is Pizza Rat and we are the Women and Women First.
There's something about a Pizza Rat costume or something that's so topical, though, that really like imprints the time. So when you look back on it, you're like, oh yeah, my friend who was Pizza Rat, that's what was going on culturally.
Totally.
Yeah, that's kind of genius. They're actually like a journalist of their time.
Yeah.
I want to be Pizza Rat this year.
That's genius.
See, and
wait,
that's
Danny, what are your?
Around.
Yeah. Are you a Halloween person?
I do love Halloween, but I think I love more of like the non-dressing up costume part of Halloween. Like I like the decor, and like the trick or treating, and all of that kind of leaves in autumn. But I most remember my. Similarly to what you were saying, I dressed up as Diane Keaton from Something's Gotta Give in all off-white when she's on the beach with Jack Nicholson. But I realized when I was putting on the costume that I did not look like her and it was going to be confusing. And so, and maybe a little scary too, because it was just like a bucket hat and like an off-white outfit, you know? But then I did zombie Diane Keaton from Something's Gotta Give to really like push it over the edge, because I just thought, well, I'm going to be scaring people anyway. And at least it felt like a little bit different. Whereas I thought if I didn't put on the zombie makeup, people would be scared even more by just me as Diane and Something's Gotta Give without the zombie makeup. Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense.
100%.
Yeah.
I think my ideal, I'm trying to think, like my goal with a Halloween costume is, because it's like, what I'm shooting for is like silly exhibitionism.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want it to be sexy?
No, but there's no sexy in there.
No sexy.
I just want it to be like silly, and for some reason, like there's an element of like, and I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you want the illusion of a little sexiness, right? Like, or a little. Yeah.
Here's a great idea. Go as Winnie the Pooh and just be fully nude with a red t-shirt. And just cock out.
When I was younger, we would always just wear the same costume every year. And I always would get my brother's hand-me-down. So I was a vampire for like 6 years in a row or something. And I do like the idea of not having to plan something every year and just like going into the closet and being like, oh, I'm going to get out the vampire costume again, or like Old Faithful, whatever that Old Faithful is. That is something that will always be kind of acceptable as a Halloween costume that you will always have. Or even if maybe you have the more specific costume for one party, but then there's another party, you're like, oh, they're not going to get it. Let me just throw on Old Faithful.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I love a classic stoom. You know, I love people that are like, I'm Dracula, I'm a bat, I'm a witch, because it's like, you know, that's like, it's like the singer-songwriter of Halloween costumes.
Exactly. I also think it's very chic for like a mom to just get out the cat ears every year and be like ready for trick-or-treaters. Like she's not like, or get out the witch hat.
Right.
And she just like puts on the witch hat. She has a little t-shirt that has a pumpkin on it that she got at Target, and she's just doing it.
She's giving out candy.
Yeah, she's
when
festive,
there's like production,
but not too much.
Yeah. And she's also not competing with the children like some kind of insane person.
Yeah, like if you need attention that bad, find the stage.
Yeah.
When people have too much production value on like their front porch for giving out candy, it's like you need to find something else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find that right perfect balance with the costume or the front porch thing where you're showing some effort, but you're not overdoing it.
Yeah.
It is about the children.
Is this about the children, or are you insecure and are you not processing some past trauma?
It's tough to find the midway point. Yeah.
Or people, I think, lean too hard into the sexiness where they go overboard and it becomes unsexy because it's like there's nothing to the imagination.
Yeah.
Like I want I like a little flash of skin or something that's going to make you feel like they're wearing a sexy costume. But when it goes to, they're completely nude, it's almost like, okay, I get it. Like it's too much. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, if we're talking, of course, this is a podcast about straight culture, but if we're talking about gay pet peeves, it's also when someone's like says they're a really elaborate costume, and then it's like, they're also just sort of naked with like little hints of like cultural signifiers of that thing. Like it'll be like, I'm an airplane, and it's like
okay, but that I love actually, to be just like fully nude with wings.
Wait, what's
funny?
What's the hottest costume to both of you? Like either you think back and you think that guy was wearing the hottest costume, or you would be really attracted if you saw somebody in such and such.
I mean, to actually bring it back to something we've already said, one, I do always find it a little bit hot when someone is Mario. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. This works for me entirely. Like, and I actually love that you didn't think that hard and you seem chill.
Mario is sort of the platonic ideal of a good Halloween costume. It is, as you said before, it is the most inclusive. It's the most universal. It really never gets old.
Yeah.
You can make it as sexy as you want, or at least sexy. Like I've seen pretty skimpy Luigi costumes, or I've seen ones that they look exactly like the character from the video games.
And then there's also like, it's more of I get into self-hatred territory when I'm attracted to like just a basic, like if someone's like, I'm the coach,
or a football player or something.
Yeah, football, and I'm like, that is hot, and I like hate that I'm into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone will show up as like a hot Boy Scout, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just when I thought I was different and better.
Yeah.
Or a sailor costume.
Yes.
It's
or
like,
just
yeah,
like
we are just
fireman.
we
Yeah.
are just attracted to those basic baseline sexy things. Yeah. I always like when a baseball player, or I like the and this goes in self-hatred territory too, where the football player with like the tight pants, like to me it like sort of brings you back to your childhood of having the crush on the football player or something, even though
you want them to bully you a bit.
Yeah.
I want a baseball player then takes his bat and hits me over the head.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, do we have anything more to say about Joker and Harley Quinn?
Before
You know, I would just encourage your listeners actually to just bookmark this moment, because we're going to see how this is affected in the years to come with Joker Part 2 and how it relates to the gay and straight community, because that's going to be the real focal or testing point of
No,
this.
I think you're absolutely right. I really think it's a turning point, and I genuinely don't know, because it really could go either way, where maybe it is true that suddenly it becomes like super iconic and like drag queens are doing Lady Joker and it's like a challenge on Drag Race.
If there was a Joker challenge on Drag Race, I would actually be in heaven.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if there is one coming up for that one, because I would imagine they're going to lean into Lady Gaga of it all and probably try to market the movie to LGBTQ community to get our dollars, because we're all going to want to see Lady Gaga, or at least whatever happens with that. So they might be doing some sort of cross campaigning with Drag Race or something. Like, I don't know that it would be that surprising, unfortunately.
I mean, in some ways it is this, like, it's almost like an algorithmically made perfectly mass appeal movie. Like, they have just put everything in there.
What would you say is Lady Gaga's,
and then musical Lady Gaga?
What would you say would be her, outside of that upcoming movie, like her most memorable, if somebody was dressing as Lady Gaga?
I mean, there are obvious ones like meat dress.
Yeah.
Everyone instantly recognizes that. Or like Coke can in the hair.
Coke can in the hair, people love to do.
Muppet.
Those,
like Muppet costume years ago.
Which
like
the Muppet one, the Kermit.
Did she have like the Kermit?
Yeah.
I mean, there was like a full 5-year period where everyone was going as different Lady Gagas for Halloween.
I have to share something.
And a Glee episode about it. There was a Glee episode where everyone dressed as Lady Gaga.
I think that's.
I hate myself.
Well, I'm going to share something extremely embarrassing. I remember being in college, early Lady Gaga era, and being like, making a joke on Halloween that was like, no matter what you are, you can just say you're Lady Gaga because she just dresses so crazy. And I was literally like,
wow.
Like
that
at
is
the
the
time,
tyranny of the closet right there.
That is the tyranny of the closet at a Southern university.
I cannot believe that. I mean, you were essentially voting for George W. Bush.
Essentially, and campaigning for him. I was essentially working.
You were going door to door. And you were coalition building.
It is such a bummer. I mean, talk about now more than ever. That was a moment. That was such a peak of my worst self. And luckily we moved past it.
Wow.
We use this podcast a lot to just sort of confess our sins of our past.
Well, I am obsessed with the fact that you later dressed as Katy Perry, because of course I'm just now thinking about that Glee episode. And again, I hate myself, but in that Glee episode, it was like Gaga versus Katy Perry. And then everybody was like siding with one or the other. So people were also dressing up as Katy Perry characters or whatever. So it is, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's just fascinating.
Wait, in that episode, they were half Katy, half Gaga?
Yeah, they were like, some of them were friends with, or some of them were fans. I don't remember exactly. I lied. I do remember the plot. It was like it was at the time of that Roar album, which was, I forget which album that was off of. And then the Applause album. And everybody had this idea that the two of them were feuding. And so Glee decided to lean into that, where some of them were bigger fans of Katy Perry, some were bigger fans of Lady Gaga. And then it culminated in like this mashup of the two songs where half the cast was dressed as a Katy Perry character, half were dressed as Lady Gaga. I believe. Am I making that up? Maybe I'm splitting
No.
episodes. I don't know. All the Glee
that
stuff
sounds
runs
good.
together.
That sounds right.
I don't know.
There needs to be.
It sounds right.
People need to be sentenced to death that were involved in that television series.
But also the way that
I'm worried that it was Mandela effect, that I just remembering it different.
Yeah, I don't think I stuck with it long enough to get to that point. But the way that people even younger than us have like nostalgia for that show is very interesting, because like we knew it was stupid in the moment, but we're like, but it's like silly stupid, and we're gonna watch some of it.
Yeah, but it's even more insane than you remember is it's sort of like, I mean, that's kind of like how people go back to like America's Top Model and they're like, can you believe this happens? Like, yeah, in the moment you also knew that was offensive.
That's true.
But
That's
it
true.
is even, but there is something about it. I mean, maybe what it is when you look back on something, you have none of the context, so it seems even more ridiculous than in the moment.
Yeah.
And you sort of convince yourself there wasn't a conversation happening. It's like, yeah, when people were watching Glee, there was also a conversation happening around it about how silly it was.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you're like, wait, so this won the Oscar? It's like, no.
Do you ever listen to a podcast where it's the former cast members talking about the show, or even on interviews with the former Glee cast members? And it seems the more time that's gone on, the more I think they're even realizing, like mid-interview, how crazy some of the shit was. And so,
Yeah.
or they'll be recapping an episode, and it's like they're realizing it as they're presenting this, like, oh fuck, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be us one day. Oh my God.
I actually have one more thing I want to say about.
Okay, what is it?
About
I
Glee.
think more people should know about Joker. I think more people should go as Batman.
Mhm.
Whatever happened to going as Batman?
Yeah.
To me,
No
I
one
went
should
as-
be going.
I went
Yeah,
as
go ahead.
Batman in college, but
oh,
Wow.
But we did-
Sexy Batman?
in a closeted way or in a really out and proud way?
kind of both, I think, because I was closeted at the time, but my roommates and I were all going as different superhero characters, but the Batman costume was the child's one at the store. And so I had to
Oh,
wear
okay.
I had to wear Batman boxers over the tights because it was like so revealing. And so it ended up being, I guess, somewhere in the middle where it was like not a adult costume. And I think that's a good way, maybe for listeners, if they're wanting to experiment with some of these straight costumes, maybe like go for the child size.
Mhm. Yeah, usually less expensive too. The child
Oh,
size.
sure. And better for the environment.
And better
'cause
for the
when
environment,
you toss them in the
needless to
garbage instantly.
And actually, you're polluting less.
Polluting way less. Less microplastics out into
Show
the
a little
sea.
more skin, and you're helping save the sea turtles.
Yeah.
This is actually a great call to action in general, is like the sluttier your costume, the less wasteful it is.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Right.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, to me, no more superhero costumes of any kind. Let's take a 5-year break.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's time.
I would recommend, maybe if you are someone who wants to do, let's say, Batman, a clever twist on it would be order a Batman costume from like 1985 or
Yeah.
from a different era, let's say. Just at least, I beg of you, or if you're doing Harley Quinn or Joker, maybe pick a different version of Harley Quinn or Joker that we haven't seen a million times instead of that same one with the bat and that baseball shirt on Harley Quinn. Like, let's pick a more obscure version of it.
Well, you bring up a great point too, which is the props surrounding Halloween costumes. I do think if it has like a large prop like a baseball bat, you should be disqualified.
I agree.
I think props are a red flag.
Yeah, and also, like, literally, what are you planning on doing with that prop when you're at the party?
You're literally just going to put it in a corner and then leave it and forget about it.
Your body is your canvas. Use it well. You're not building a sculpture. You're making a painting.
100%. I actually feel the same way with like too many reveals on Drag Race. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Let's focus. Let's enough with the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Show me something good.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. The only way a prop works for me is like a cigarette or something that, goes with it that is also useful in that way.
Totally.
Like, I want the cigarette, and so it goes with the costume.
Totally. And by the way, speaking of cigarettes, I want to see more Corellas.
And by the way, speaking of cigarettes, I want to see more Cruellas. I mean, yeah.
It's
And I
true.
want to see the Corellas from the original animated movie, big yellow fur
Yes.
and cigarette. So that's my challenge. That's the StraightioLab challenge for Halloween 2023. More Corellas.
Well, the obvious final question is
Yeah.
like, do we know what we're going to be for Halloween this year?
Well, I don't think any of us can reveal it. I mean, this episode's going to come out before the big reveal when we're all going to be Destiny's Child together.
But not the main Destiny's Child. We're going to
But
be the
not
ones
the
who are
main
like,
Destiny's Child.
we're going to be like
The cut-
Latavia.
Exactly. I mean, do you want to say what you're going to be?
Well, the problem is I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either yet. I don't know either.
Well, Well, I do, but I'm not going to say.
Oh my God. Did you tell me already?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it. We can bleep it. I'm going to be... All right. I mean...
Should we do our final segment?
Danny, any last thoughts on Joker and Harley Quinn?
No, I mean, I'm expecting to see it for years to come. It's just something that I would just encourage everyone to at least rethink or spend a moment or two to just, if you're out there listening, just think about it.
Yeah.
Whether or not you go through with it is a different story, but just at least remember that there's going to be a million other of those costumes out, and we've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I co-sign.
I co-sign as well.
Well, should we do our final segment?
Danny, our final segment is called Shoutouts, and in this segment, we pay homage to the great straight oral tradition of the radio shoutout and give a shout out to anything that we are enjoying. George and I will go first, but imagine it's TRL 2001. You're shouting out to your squad back home, but about anything that you like. And George, do you have one? I did before I came in here, and now it's completely erased from my mind.
Okay. All right. What's up, boys and girls? I want to give a shout out to, basically I want to give a shout out to me listening to the audiobook of the book Doppelganger by Naomi Klein, which, look it up. Great thinker, great chronicler of our times. She reads her own audiobook. And I really want to give a shout out to basically me becoming sort of a perpetually scared liberal Facebook mom because of everything that is being said in the book, to the point where I'm literally unable to have a conversation because I'm like, well, did you know that she says that language doesn't mean anything anymore? And actually, there's nowhere to go but down. I am feeling hopeless more so than I've ever felt in the past. I have literally zero optimism about the future, and I feel great about it, sister. So go out there and listen to the book. It lasts literally 1 billion hours, and she keeps making me more hopeless. And then when she tries to be a little hopeful, and she's like, that's why we need collective movements. As examples, no footage found. And you're like, oh, thanks, Queen. So, yeah, I think we have a lot to learn from her, but also, everyone, make your own decisions, I guess.
Woo! Woo! Okay. All right. We're going to try it. What is up, everyone around the world? I want to give a huge shout out to the knowing that when you see someone, you don't need to stop and talk to them if it's a place where you shouldn't stop and talk. I go to a gym. Woo! And often I see people I know there. We go at the same time. Some of these people I've literally known for a decade. We have been friends and we are friends. And yet I see them and we just, hi, and then keep going. Nothing more, and even sometimes a little bit less. And I find it so nice just be like, I see you, you see me, and now we're going to ignore each other for a full hour. I think people who can tastefully ignore each other are doing you a service, and you are doing them a service back. It is an art form, and it needs to be respected, and talking should be illegal. Say hello, give a nod, and get back to lifting, mama. Woo!
Wow, that was a good one.
Even a little, not even a full hand wave hello, I think is good sometimes. Just like a little, almost one finger kind of pops up.
Yeah.
It's really an incredible feeling.
No, that is so true. Especially when I first moved to New York, I hadn't sort of gotten used to the fact that you run into people all the time. If you're on the subway, you probably will see. So I used to think it was an insane coincidence, and I would truly stop and be like, how have you been? When we were on the stairs in the Penn Station, stop, and it's no, you actually just have to ignore.
Yeah. It's tasteful.
Yeah. Okay, Danny.
Should I do my shout out? Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Danny Pellegrino, and not only want you to all get my book, it's called The Jolliest Bunch, which you can order now. It's also available on audio if you want to listen to it. But I want to shout out two things aside from that. One is grocery store music. I just think I'm so grateful for everybody whoever is curating these playlists at your local grocery stores. They are the perfect soft rock stations, and I don't know if people are just all these grocery stores are picking up on a specific station, or if they're curating their own playlist, or what's going on. But the grocery stores are playing the best music. You're hearing Natalie Imbruglia Torn in between Alanis Morissette and Sophie B. Hawkins, or it's the soft rock that you can only hear in a grocery store while you're picking up a DiGiorno pizza, and I'm grateful for that. And then I also want to say there was a movie called, I had to look it up because I forgot the name, Love at First Sight on Netflix. It's sort of a rom-com-y. Haley Lou Richardson is her name, the young gal from White Lotus 2 season.
Yeah.
And I put it on. I thought it was going to be one of those teen movies, love teen movies, that the kissing booth kind of situation. And I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm just saying that I did ultimately really enjoy it, and I watched it twice because I liked it so much. It's got a really cute guy in it named Ben Hardy, but it's a kind of a love story, and there's some drama, and there's a death and all that kind of stuff, which it's not. Hopefully it's not a spoiler because I think that was in the trailer. But if it was a spoiler, I apologize, but watch it.
Wow. Woo. Wow.
Wow. Watched it twice. Who
I did
knew?
watch it twice. And probably your listeners are going to watch it and be like, it was not good.
No.
But I
they'll
loved
love
it. I loved
I think that was beautiful. A beautiful
Wow.
shout out to cinema.
Well,
Thank you.
buy Danny's book, The Jolliest Bunch.
And thank you so much
And
for
thank
doing
you
the
so
pod.
much for doing the podcast, Daddy. This
This
is
has
so
been
much
a
I
fun.
love you both. I'm such a huge fan of both of you. So thank you for taking the time and
thank
having me.
you.
We're fans of yours.
Of
and
course.
Happy Halloween.
All right.
Happy
bye.
Halloween.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.